So Matt, thank you very much for joining us.
Well, thank you. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
And obviously, this forms part of our B2B marketing series in 2016. Yep. I mean, in your mind, can you just define what it is to be a CMO in B2B today?
So, great, challenging role, possibly the best time, in my view, to be a CMO, but also not without challenges. And I think what's happening is, and what has happened over the last few years, you have on the one hand a significant addition of what some people would call the science of marketing. More data, more personalization, data kind of coming at you from every which way, and if you're, as a CMO, what I'd like to call the custodian of the customer, you need to really add the analytics piece to it. But at the same time, this notion of the art of marketing, the creative process, thinking outside the box, how do you position a brand creatively and emotionally connect with your customers, is equally as important. And then last but not least, what some will call the digital revolution, all the various channels. We all know mobile growing tremendously, video being probably one of the most consumed content vehicles, content marketing, inbound marketing. All those things coming together make it an incredibly interesting profession, multidisciplinary, and then also quite challenging, but I, for one, certainly enjoy it.
A term which has come up a few times in the interview series so far is this notion of a unicorn CMO. A CMO who is expected to be part brand specialist, part product specialist, lead gen,
yes,
or the data scientist, I guess.
Yes.
Is it realistic to expect one person to be able to cover all those bases?
My personal view is the marketing profession will go one of two ways, right? On the one hand, what you're describing is also a high degree of specialization. Brand specialists, data specialists, customer advocates, marketing automation or technologists. And we have seen in various companies, the evolution of a chief digital officer or a chief commercial officer, or a chief, a customer advocate officer. My personal view is, in some holistic form, that is all at the core what marketing needs to focus on and needs to drive. At the end of the day, whatever title we end up giving this, I think we as marketeers and as CMOs, we're responsible for the end-to-end customer experience across all touch points, whether they are physical touch points or digital touch points. And we need to do so by leveraging data. We need to be creative. So my personal view, the more we can keep it underneath one umbrella, the better we'll be off. But yes, it does require a multitude of skill sets that one, I think, has to acquire over a certain amount of time throughout their career. And maybe it's not for everyone, but I certainly think that there is the opportunity to keep it all under one umbrella.
Yeah. How do you recommend or advise CMOs who are perhaps from a more creative, traditional marketing background, how do they upskill themselves to become or add the data elements?
Right. Look, I think there are always different ways, right? I mean, if you're from the creative side, I think there's probably two avenues how you can kind of add to your skill set. One of the best ways is to, if you can work in the B2B environment, get closer to sales, take a regional or in-country type of marketing role, and really become the counterpart to a sales organization. Immerse yourself in lead generation. Immerse yourself in true customer issues. Immerse yourself in the issues that somebody who has to fulfill their quota day in and day out has to do, and work with them. And I think you'll get a big piece of it. The second one, which I think is, look, if you want to be a marketeer today, you have to also have a basic knowledge of technology. I mean, I don't have it right on me, but our mobile devices and all the technology that comes with it, that is something that you can either learn or in part you have to kind of, immerse yourself into this. On the really deep analytics, I would suggest that's a specialized skill, right? I don't know if it's realistic to tell someone who is a truly creative mind to suddenly learn how to do, deep skill, analysis, learn database skills and so forth. So I'd probably keep that a little bit away, but all the other skills that I mentioned, that's upon you and how you, kind of build your career, so to speak.
Yeah. I think in a recent count, there was over 1,800 marketing tech vendors.
Yes.
I think up from about 100 in 2012,
Right.
which is crazy
Right.
growth. How do you have any idea which tools and technologies to try and
Yeah, I mean,
incorporate?
I think what we have here, right, this is the big debate that's growing about, marketing technology, also the notion of, how should marketeers approach the shadow IT discussion, so to speak, right? I think there are two guideposts that I would say. Yes, there are starting to be some integrated suites of capabilities, and they come from some of the well-known vendors, and they offer actually pretty good integrated capabilities. What we at HCL have done, we kind of pick and choose best in class. So we've picked a marketing automation platform that's closely aligned to our CRM system. We've picked some of the fairly well-known analytics tools to track the type of success we have in the digital space. Maybe because we're a technology company, that's a little bit easier for us to do. But my personal advice to anyone, whether you're working in a large or a small company, start small, be very focused on a few projects, and don't take on everything at once. And whatever you do, please make sure that your CRM system and whatever other marketing automation or other tools that they're connected. Marketing tools that are not connected into your overarching CRM system, frankly speaking, or have only, in my view, marginal value.
Interesting. And just to talk about HCL as a brand.
Sure.
I think it's achieved huge growth in brand value over the last year.
Yes.
I think
Yes.
143%.
Yes.
How have you achieved that? I mean, it's startling growth.
Well, first, thank you. So, as brand evaluations go, one of the great things that we've achieved on the business side is in calendar year 15, our top line revenue growth was 14% at constant currency, with a healthy profit margin in the higher end of the IT services market, right? So that certainly is, just as a company, a healthy performance. Then from the marketing and the brand side, I think there's a number of things. One, we're fortunate enough to sign the digital transformation partnership deal with Manchester United, and have really worked very closely with Manchester United on a variety of efforts, both here in the UK, but also, we've had efforts in Australia, where we had, the Manchester United team join us in Australia, in London, in the US, and I think we clearly see that this is a fantastic partnership with a great club, right? And that has helped us quite a bit as well. Lastly, I would say we're very focused, right? So we compete in 31 countries, and we really are very customer-centric, right? We pride ourselves on what we call relationship beyond the contract. So we view that the contract is the starting point of a relationship. And when you watch our marketing, it's very much focused on those tenets, and very, very focused, not mass marketing. I'm not a big believer in mass marketing at all. So those are probably some of the key elements that would contribute to that success.
Yeah. Can you talk a bit more about the Manchester United partnership? How did
Sure.
it come about, and what are the metrics of success for that?
Yeah, so we were approached actually by Manchester United about a year and a half ago, and credit to the football club. The best way to describe it is Manchester United, basically I think about 2 or 3 years ago, conducted a study, and there are about 650 plus million self-identified Manchester United fans across the globe. But when you look at that, you kind of say, what percentage of that 650 million plus fan base will have an opportunity to experience match day at Old Trafford? What percentage? A very small group will have the actual opportunity to see a game live, to see the players, to experience it. So credit to Manchester United, they're basically saying that's where technology comes in. That's where a company like HCL can help us. They can help us with building a new mobile app. They can help us by revamping the web experience. They can help the fan base across the globe, have access, in quotes, to Manchester in a different way.
Yeah.
So the metrics in that sense is we're still in the development phase. There will be a rollout announced very soon. And then I think this will truly continue to position Manchester United in a different and very engaging manner with their fan base. And for us, it's the added benefit that I can tell you it's amazing how many senior executives and how many actually of our clients at some point or another still are and have been lifelong Manchester United fans, right? So, so it's been a really a brilliant partnership.
Cool. One other thing to just touch upon, and you mentioned it before, about the relationship with sales.
Yes.
That seems to be an increasing trend for marketeers in recent times. How do you manage that relationship and ensure it's as less fractious as possible?
Yeah, my personal view, and what I remind the team is to say marketing today is a team sport, right? And it goes back to where we started a few minutes ago. One of the things very important, we as marketeers need to track our marketing metrics, right? We need to understand how many attendees do we have an event, what's the open and click-through rates, et cetera, et cetera. From a business perspective, that's borderline irrelevant. What the salespeople care about is how many truly qualified leads can you provide, can you help me progress them, and are you having a direct impact on the ultimate, the win and the pipeline. How do you do that? I think it's a concerted effort. We have aligned our teams to in the field, in the geographies, directly to the respective sales leaders. We work with them exceptionally close, and it's very important also that we position ourselves as marketeers to add value. I'm always very concerned that when people say yes, but they've told me to do something. So that's great, but what new ideas have we brought? Have we brought inbound campaign, multi-touch campaigns that generates new prospects and leads? Have we executed a customer advisory council that provides a different set of experiences? Are we doing things that a traditional salesperson may not have thought about, right? But in the spirit of the team sport, I would expand that concept and then say, look, if you want to deploy technology, you have to have a good relationship with the CIO, right? If you want to truly deploy and live a brand that's employee-centric, your biggest brand advocates are your employees in most instances. You have to have a good relationship with the head of HR, right? If you truly want to demonstrate the return on investment, having a strong relationship with the CFO is very important. And last but not least, obviously aligned to the priorities of the CEO altogether.
So there's quite a few relationships to balance.
It's a team sport, right?
So last question then.
Yeah.
What do you highlight as the greatest challenge facing B2B marketers or CMOs?
I think it's a couple of things. The single biggest differentiator for marketeers is, I think, speed to market. And it's driven, again, by your customers. Every customer today is, latest statistics, just as is mind-blowing, right? Today, on average, people check their cell phone 150 times a day, and they spend up to 3 hours a day on a cell phone to either look up your company, consume information, get entertained, work with their own social networks. And if you're a marketeer, you have to be always on, not a campaign that runs and that's off. You have to generate and then share content that is hopefully emotionally connecting. All of the B2B marketers, keep in mind, whether your target audience are a CIO, a CTO, a CEO, they're still human beings, right? This notion of emotional connecting with someone, I think is really important. And then make no mistake, and I think everybody, both in the consumer and the B2B space, would say, look, if someone reaches out to you because they either have a complaint or they have a question, there is an expectation that the company will respond, and will respond quickly, right? That means, are you responding within 30 minutes? How many times have you possibly called a 800 number, a call center number, and then you're being put from one person to the next, neither one of them who can help you? Or you receive an invoice that is very complicated and you can't resolve it. Or you go on a live chat and somebody can't help you. Everything is happening in a snap of a moment, and we as marketeers have to be as agile and lean as our customers are expecting us to be. And I think that's going to be the biggest challenge, because you, by definition, you have to build a marketing group that is also agile and lean and that can operate in that way.
Perfect. Matt, thank you for your time.
Well, thank you. Really appreciate it.